Good morning, guys.
Good, good. We're ready for the scorching questions.
Scorching.
Uncover the scandals.
Before we start the questions, I kind of want to know, was it love at first sight?
It was for me.
How did that work?
It was for me.
We met on a European tour of the Broadway show Showboat, and she was starring as Magnolia, and I was humbly playing guitar and banjo in the pit orchestra. And the character of Magnolia has to accompany herself on the guitar in the second act. And so the first thing that Ellehn ever said to me was, "Have they told you how pitiful I am?"
My first words to her.
She had actually bought a guitar and was learning how to play it, and I was just kind of appalled that anyone would expect any person to actually learn how to play a Jerome Kern song in a couple of months. And so she asked me for guitar lessons, and it turned out that
And I had one.
that's right, that she was greatly moved by the guitar lesson. So so then she looked me up, and we had a date in Amsterdam. We went out to an Italian restaurant in Amsterdam, and I talked about the originative causes of World War I for an hour and a half, and she was won over. So now we're married.
And of course, we just had, June 28 was the 100th anniversary of Archduke Ferdinand's assassination, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back and sent Europe into the First World War.
So that was a very warm and romantic moment for us.
Nice.
Well, we're both very interested in history.
Love it. John, I heard that you play trombone.
Among other things, trombone was my first instrument.
I'm a tuba player. So.
Oh, cool. Very nice. Very
Proud to
nice.
bring up, yeah, one of the best family.
Yeah.
And I have to admire your portal earrings there too. Those are lovely.
Thank you. And I have a pearl necklace that
Oh.
my friends Charlie and Kevin gave me, and David. This I got this at Gamer X last year.
That's
So.
awesome.
Well, yeah.
So, do you want to open up to questions now?
Sure.
Sure.
Again, please just state where you're working from. Too.
Are you going to call on people? Or?
Sure. Why don't we start with Mr. Armand over there?
I'm the Geeky Panda from the Geeky Panda blog. What was it like working for Valve, working on great titles like the Half-Life series, Portal, and Team Fortress 2? Well, Team Fortress 2.
I mean, it's a gas. The guys are insane. They're really a lot of fun. The writers are incredibly creative. Bill Van Buren, who did most of the directing, although I mean he would say that the writers did, but he was the one who directly interacted with us a lot of times.
He was what is it? The NASA thing?
Capcom.
Capcom.
Right,
Bill
right.
Van Buren was Capcom. So we'd be in the recording booth, and Bill would be, on the button, and he would be translating the direction from the writers, but it would all, usually come through Bill.
But Chet Falisak and Eric Wolpaw, Jay Pinkerton, I mean, all these guys are just...
Mark Laidlaw.
Yeah, Mark Laidlaw, incredibly creative folks, and great to work with.
In front.
I'm Ellehn from morepower.com. Is there an opera that you're except for Vando that you'd like to do again?
The Marriage of Figaro by,
Mozart.
Mozart, that guy.
You just failed your music history.
I know. Listen,
He's an obscure composer.
I've forgotten most of what I know.
That's right.
But I first did The Marriage of Figaro in 1978, and I played Susanna, the young maid. And of course, most recently, actually 3 times recently, I played Marcellina,
The old battle axe.
the old battle axe, who we discover during the course of the opera is she's Figaro's long lost mother. So, then this is a wonderful revelation in Act 3 of The Marriage of Figaro, that Marcellina is actually his mother.
Over there.
GarrettSmod.com. What got you into video game voice acting?
Him.
Well, when we moved out to Seattle in '89, I just got an agent, and I did a little bit of radio DJing, and did a couple commercials. We both did back in Indiana, and
At WFIU.
And I got a voice demo and just started doing voice work. And of course, in '89, there were no computer games yet because computers just weren't fast enough. And so I was doing KFC commercials and weird home diabetes instruction kits for home testing. And,
Goodies, headache powder.
yeah, and Boeing industrial videos, stuff like that. But in '96, Sierra Online and Humongous opened up in Seattle and started sending out auditions. And they sent them to my agent, and I auditioned. Of course, back then, everybody would go down to a recording studio downtown to audition, and they'd put all these auditions on a great big piece of 2-inch wide tape and mail it off to Sierra Online or whatever, and it'd take like 2 months for them to figure that stuff out. And nowadays, you just audition at home on your computer, and it's all done lightning fast. But it was just that they auditioned, and really for 8 or 9 years, I abused Ellehn every night, telling her to get a voice demo. And she would say things like, "Oh no, that's all.
They don't need women.
I don't have the right kind of voice."
I wouldn't get any word.
So finally, she got a voice demo in 2000, and now she's more famous.
2002.
Right. Sorry.
2002.
Yeah.
At a lull in my career.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it happened. But that's how any actor gets into anything is by auditioning.
Just to carry off of that question, did you have to go on location with your demo on a CD, or did you send it in
initially when I got the demo work done in '02, there was still being put on CD. Now you get a demo and it's just a sound file, just an MP3, and you don't have to get a hard anything.
Of course, when I got my demo, it was on a cassette that was
tape.
steam powered and pulled by dinosaurs. So it's gone through amazing technological revolutions over the last 20 years.
We'll go white shirt.
Jeremy from Wheatonaples. Speaking of Act 3s, is there any games in the near future that we might be able to hear either one of you from certain games that might count to 3 soon?
Unfortunately, Gabe Newell was attacked by the number 3 when I was very young. And he's never really gotten up. Now, we have no idea. Voice actors are always the last ones to know. If once they call us into the studio, it's almost a done deal. They've got everything else lined up, and they just need the voices now. So you'll probably find out before we do. I wish we were higher up on the totem pole, but it's like, when you're a writer on a movie set, if you wrote the script, so you're the last person to know anything. So people with talent are just, shunned. Sorry, no, that's totally.
Oh, we'll go way back there.
Dan from GuysNation.com. I was wondering, are you surprised at the reaction you get from fans of your voice work?
Not anymore, but I was in the beginning. Yes. In the beginning. So when Portal came out, the first thing that kind of clued us in that something was going on, we got an email. Somebody found our email address, which wasn't hard. I mean,
well, of course, this amazes us too, because we're old, and the internet to us is like a series of tubes, like. It's like when Portal came out, 24 hours later, somebody emailed Ellehn from Denmark saying, people are in the streets of Copenhagen chanting, "The cake is a lie, the cake is a lie." And
so that was a huge surprise.
Right.
And our first hint that perhaps, Portal was going to be successful. Because I'll tell you, the people who put it together, and who was I talking to? Well, Bill Van Buren. John and I were talking to Bill Van Buren recently, and everybody just thought that Portal was this little extra thing, and a little thank you to gamers, and wasn't really going to do very much. And then,
it was just a little short game, and they thought, we'll include it in the orange box as kind of a little present, just a bonus, and it totally took off on its own. So.
Yeah. So it was a big surprise in the beginning, but what I think is so cool is that, here I am, a woman in my very early 60s, and I have this entree into the multi-generational world of gaming. So, and particularly with my voice students, when I say something, they actually pay attention to what I have to say because I'm GLaDOS.
They fear deadly neurotoxins.
Way in the back over there.
Joe Cirillo, GameAccess.net. This question specifically for John. No One Lives Forever is a very beloved game by a lot of people, and of course you were one of the major voice actors in that series. Have you heard recently that people have been talking about that series again, even though there's some issues with the IP and things like that? Have you been confronted about either being part of any remakes or sequels, perhaps?
Well, I have heard that people are talking about it again. I haven't heard from any of the guys who developed the original games, so I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure they know how to get a hold of me. I'm with the same agent, but evidently, you know, whatever plans they haven't come so far as to start actually lining up voice actors and stuff like that. Thanks for the question. I hope they do. I mean, it was because, you know, they named the character after me.
They did, yes.
He was very apologetic when I went in to do, you know, Nolf 2. He said, "Oh, you spell your name with an O. Sorry, no, I was totally meaning to name the character after you." So that was very fun. Yeah.
What did you think of that? The fact
Oh, I thought it was great. I mean, what a nice tribute. So I mean, those guys were great. The guys who wrote No One Lives Forever were hilarious to work with, and we had a great time.
So unfortunately, we have one more question. Time for one more question. I know it's kind of fast. You've been waiting patiently.
Thank you. Ink from AnimeGamers.com. I was wondering, Ms. Ellehn, what was your thought as an opera singer upon hearing that all your vocal work would go through so many digital filters before it came out through the game?
Well, I didn't know that was going to happen. It didn't bother me. I didn't know. When I got, you know, I had to send in an audition for the GLaDOS voice, and the instruction to the actors auditioning was, you know, sound as much like this computer-generated voice as you possibly can. And I'm assuming that I'm the one who got the closest. So for the beginnings of Portal, before the character loses the morality core, I was just trying to sound exactly like that computer-generated voice. And then ultimately, of course, it was Bill Van Buren who developed the equation for how the voice was going to be processed. So when I, you know, when I heard it the first time, it was like, oh, well, that's cool. So I know they, you know, auto-tuned and, you know,
That auto-tuning is mostly
did all
what
that
they did
stuff.
too, right?
But the thing that surprised me the most is that they let me sing. Because, you know, I told them I was a singer, but they had never heard me sing. And then they, you know, got Jonathan Colton to write a song. And so the first time they heard me sing was when I was in the studio to record Still Alive. They just sort of took it all on faith. You know, so.
They're maniacs, like I say. They're totally
I'm sure we all enjoyed it. Well, thank you guys for joining us up here today.
Thank you, Rob.